Coming up, bad news for savers, as even those with high-interest savings accounts are seeing their money disappear thanks to inflation. But first, we'll detail every possible thing you could die from. He's a rational investor, dividend digester, saves some of his paycheck just like all his ancestors. Him looking for high yields? That's never the case. He's seeking 6% returns. Slow and steady wins the race. But when he checks his accounts just to see what they're fielding, it's like driving in Maryland. Ain't nobody yielding. What is he to do? He shouldn't be in a drought. So he visits his advisor just to sort it all out. Inflation's higher than your bond rate. That's what I was fearing.
Well, this
So
is
your
Grant's
savings
Interest Rate
account
Observer of the Year, and the music you have heard is not Count Basie, April in Paris, circa 1955. It is Remy, just plain Remy. We have, there's like Bono, there's Cher, there's, There's, I don't know.
Madonna.
Right, and there's Remy. And Remy Munasifi is our guest today. And what you heard was Remy doing a little riff on dog money, which is what the Federal Reserve produces under the name of Federal Reserve notes.
Well, I'm super honored to have the intro music for this episode.
Right. Well, this is the first time, Evan, we've been doing these things for what, 30 years? Podcast?
Just about.
Yeah. And we've always had Count Basie because your editor, me, Jim Grant, is rather stuck on 1955, and the Dodgers won the World Series, and Count Basie produced April in Paris, and everything has been going more or less sideways at best since then, sometimes downhill. But we are with Remy, and as always, we are with the great deputy editor of Grants, Evan Lorenz. We are with Henry and Owatan, our engineers, and who else in the room? I'm looking. I guess that's it, right?
It's just the four of us.
Yeah. And what we are here to do is to talk to one of the terrific comedians, satirists, creators of videos. Remy is merely fantastic. He does all of his stuff, I think, not all of it, but much of it lately under the banner of Reason TV. And he does stand-up as well. And I don't know, he's like perfect. It says here in Wikipedia, which is the ultimate authority and everything.
Oh, yeah.
That, his videos have gained over 98 million views as of June 2021. So extrapolating, Evan, as we sometimes do in financial analysis, if it was 98 million in June 2021, what is it now? Like
a couple billion?
Billion or trillion maybe.
Easy.
Yeah. One of the Grants t-shirts, copyrighted Grants t-shirts, has a picture of the Federal Reserve Building and a voice, like a Pfeiffer voice, and the old Village Voice cartoons coming out of it, and the voice is inquiring, anybody here know what comes after trillion? So anyway, Remy's got 1 trillion views.
Yeah, it's like a hockey stick, just everybody on YouTube just goes straight up.
Well, you watch after this fight. Who knows what's going to happen? So Remy, I am tired of the sound of my own voice, which is frequently the case, and I haven't even heard yet from Evan. But I would like you to tell us kind of what you're doing now. I mean, I want to get into a lot of things you have done, but what are you up to?
Well, basically, just kind of, I'm always working on another YouTube video, and sometimes that doesn't take very long. Sometimes that takes a week. Sometimes that could take months. And it's just, when inspiration strikes you, just kind of going with the flow. The dog money was sort of a response to the cryptomania.
Can you please pronounce that correctly?
Doge money?
No, dog.
Oh, dog money. My little niece comes up to me because she saw the video and they use it, I think, at bedtime. She's like, "You're putting it all in dog money." I was like, yeah.
Well, are you a Bitcoin guy? Come on, admit it.
I'm not a Bitcoin guy. There's no good Bitcoin story. I remember Bitcoin came out and I thought, oh, that's kind of interesting, and I bought, I think, two Bitcoins. They were $200, and then they spiked to something like, I think, like 7,000.
It's crazy.
Something. Yeah, it was insane. So I was like, I'm not gonna have $15,000 in Bitcoin. So I sold them, which you would think.
Well done.
Yeah, well, but you would think that like people would hear that story
That's a
and
good
just
Christian
be like,
prophet.
wow.
Yep.
Yeah. No, they're like, oh, you sold it 7,500? You insane.
So you're saying no laser eyes in your profiles?
No laser eyes. No
But still,
laser eyes.
you are going to the moon.
Yes. I do technically own. I made a video called Bitcoin Billionaire. And it's about this guy who starts mining Bitcoins and he makes it big. And then there's a solar flare at the end and he loses all his Bitcoin. And then at the end, he's standing on a street corner holding up a sign, but it's a QR code and it goes to like a wallet. So periodically people will send like Bitcoin to this QR code, this like small tiny thing. So I think I have like a fraction of a Bitcoin somewhere.
This is something I actually wanted to ask you about. Like, comedy is usually finding the absurdity in everyday life. How do you make jokes when everything's already absurd? I mean, like, Dogecoin is itself almost a joke by nature. I mean, it was created by people who thought Bitcoin was funny, so let's make Bitcoin as a joke coin.
Yeah, I don't know if it makes it tougher or if it makes it easier because, it seems like, to your point, it's a joke currency to begin with. So, to hear some of these people talk about it, they're very passionate. We'll put it that way. So I guess the greater point I felt like was that, a lot of people are looking at dollars and just thinking, you know what, maybe I'd rather hold the dog money. And I think that in itself is problematic.
Says it's certain something. I've been thinking since you kindly agreed to come on our podcast, I've been thinking that the Roman Empire would not have needed Gibbon to chronicle its decline and fall if it had had Remy.
I mean, I don't know if we would have had the Roman equivalent of YouTube. I would have been in there. It's like, Caesar's debasing the silver. What's up with that?
Also, he's going to lift the debt ceiling.
Yeah.
Well, let's hear it. Let's hear a little debt ceiling. Come on. Doesn't it suck, by the way, when someone says you have to perform right now for this party? What?
I thought this was the pause for editing.
No. You give us a little, then we'll play the real thing. Go ahead. As we say in Brooklyn, go ahead. You can't do it, can you?
I remember it started with a debt number that now is laughable. That sounded large.
It's like $7,500 Bitcoin.
Yeah, it was like so long ago. No, it was like, can you believe we're $10 trillion in debt?
This
is crazy.
Okay, we're going to play it now, all right?
Raise the debt ceiling, 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 raise the debt ceiling. 14 trillion in debt, but yo, we ain't got no qualms. Dropping $100 bills and billion-dollar bonds. Spending money we don't have, that's the name of the game. They call me cumulonimbus because you know I'll make it right. Drive all kinds of cars, got all kinds of whips. People ask me how I get them, I tell them simulate. Social security surplus, guess what, it's gone. Got my hands on everything like Dominic Strauss-Kahn. Ain't got no Medicare trust fund, son, that's just absurd. Spending every single penny that we see, son, have you heard? Ain't got no moral objection, ain't got no kind of complaint. Ain't got no quantitative statutory budget restraints.
Isn't that great?
Oh,
that was merely
it went by so fast.
So I allowed you to interrupt you when you were telling us about you. And I want to hear your life story, and I want to hear how Arlington, Virginia figures into it, because the rap you made about Arlington and about the rugged, really tough, take your lunch money streets in
rough.
Arlington.
It's rough in Clarendon. Yeah.
With Pottery Barn and stuff.
I mean, right at that intersection where the Williams-Sonoma is, it gets a little hairy.
Brown flip-flops.
Yeah.
So you grew up in Washington, or McLean, did you? Working for the CIA, I suppose, as a kid part-time.
We weren't supposed to talk about that.
Okay. And you imbibed the religion of the state, living so close to the nation's capital as you did.
It rubs off on you.
Right. And then for some reason, you wound up at a Jesuit college in West Virginia.
Yeah. So a family friend of ours who actually was affiliated with Georgetown University after high school was talking to me, and I was kind of going through the things of what I didn't like about the idea of like a big college and everything like that. And he was also affiliated with this school, Wheeling Jesuit University, small, tiny school in Wheeling, West Virginia.
The Cardinals, right?
The Cardinals.
Yeah.
Go Cardinals. And he said, go check it out. And I loved it. And every week I loved it there. And he was totally right. And that's how I had heard of it. He had told my dad about it, and my dad's from Iraq. He came over here. He escaped with his brother to come over here in the early 70s. So then I get a call from my dad. He's like, you have to go check out Wellington State University. I was like, what? I'm Googling it. I don't see anything for Wellington State, Dad. But it was great.
You're escaping from the Middle East is like a thing now.
Yeah. I mean, I see the benefit, you know.
But your mother is Lebanese and your dad is Iraqi.
Yeah.
And you've been to Lebanon, I gather, several times.
A couple times. We went when we didn't have that much. We had some family there. We didn't have too much family there. We had a lot of family. My dad's family was still in Iraq. When the Iraq War started, they were able to move to Beirut. So I had a grandmother that I'd never really known. So we started going in the summer. But the last time we went there, we left on like a Sunday, and then on Tuesday they bombed the airport. So we're like, okay, well, maybe not the best. Maybe we'll look at the Outer Banks or something next year.
You know,
I would say that's great timing.
Yeah.
I often think that emigres to America from places that you wouldn't want to visit now often have a much better line of sight on what's happening here. We have a friend named Simon Mikhailovich who came from with his family from Soviet Union in the 70s, and he sees all sorts of things going on in this country that indigenous peoples are likely to overlook.
Yeah, I would believe it. My dad's very similar in that sense, and doesn't get caught up in a lot of the issues of the day, like the sort of superficial clickbait stuff, and kind of sees the bigger things.
Why the Nats are so bad this year?
Yeah, I mean, that's top of his list.
What is, if I may ask, what your parents think of Habib Abdul Habib? And what do they, this is your alternate person, or what was it?
Well,
your comedic persona.
like the alter ego.
Ego, yeah. Sorry.
Well, when I started on YouTube, it was just when YouTube had started. So, I think like anybody with maybe just parents in general. I was going to say immigrant parents, but probably parents in general would say, and I was going to law school at the time, and I was like, I think I want to just make these videos for the internet, and that's like, it was not a fun conversation, and it didn't go away overnight.
What is the pathway from going from a Jesuit college to law school to comedy?
Yeah, it was
mistakes. I would get.
Yeah, you have to have a pretty indecisive driver. I like the idea of the law, and I still do. And I went to law school, and I liked law school. I went to 1 year of law school, and I had a job at the circuit court that summer. But when I was in school, when I was at work, I was always thinking in my head of like these little songs. I mean, since I was a kid, I was always kind of making these silly songs, and I think I would just.
This is it's like Henry Ford fiddling with nuts and bolts.
Yeah, maybe like that, but at not quite as that successful a level.
We'll see, won't we? Yeah, we'll see. So what law firm did you go with?
None of the above. I went with I don't know what, because the first year you're just doing like, I guess those basic courses, so there's no specialty anything. So I don't know that, but I do know that there were very smart people that were also working at the circuit court. And I don't know that. I don't know that my skills would have been perfectly suited for the law.
Okay, so that wasn't going to happen. But what did happen was, what was the first YouTube video you produced? You were Habib Abdul Habib.
The first video that I was Habib, I think it was called ARAB, and it was supposed to be just a one and done. Like, I'm going to do this song about being like, having Middle Eastern parents and living in the United States, and then all these people who had similar backgrounds, loved this song, and it got passed around, and they're like, oh, where are you going to make the next one? And I was like, oh, it's going to just make the one and just going to be done with it. But, people really liked it, and I liked making it. So I ended up doing a bunch of different ones like that. And
what was Arlington the first hit? That was one that got 300,000 clicks in like a day or so.
That was that was definitely I think so, if I remember correctly. It felt like everything was kind of like a little bigger than the next thing, but that was definitely one where, especially where I lived, I mean, because it's such a, I almost didn't post it because it was such a small region.
But it's kind of universal. I mean, the idea of who was the actor who just died from The Wire, who played.
I don't know.
I know who you're talking about. I'm just blanking the name.
Anyway, but the idea of the dark, hostile, violent inner city and all the rap music that engendered has obviously inspired you in a satirical way, right?
Yeah, and it's something about, and it's true. I think there's probably even every metropolitan area, there's probably like a kind of neighborhood that's kind of like that, where it's almost like Disneyland, where it kind of looks like
I
you're
live
in Bavaria.
In one. Sure, I live in one.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Oh yeah, I'm a city liver.
I'm from Brooklyn. Okay, yeah, Brooklyn Heights. Yeah, not quite the same as. So let's get down to it. The Federal Reserve is the most dangerous financial institution on the face of the earth. Have you heard from them?
Yes and no. No, but when I was filming the Raise the Debt Ceiling video, we filmed at the front of the Federal Reserve, and on what I thought was public area.
Did they correct you on that misconception?
They came and they didn't tell us that we had to leave, but they're like CB radioing off the shoulder and asking what we're doing, and I was like, we're just making a YouTube video. Yeah,
Rance is located right by the New York Fed building, and one thing you learn very quickly is they not only have the printing press, they have their own police force that's very, very active.
There too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's where they bury everybody else's gold, underneath the New York Fed building, so they have police officers circling it.
Is that for real?
Do you remember the Die Hard movie where they stole gold from New York?
I don't.
It had Samuel L. Jackson, but they stole it from the New York Fed.
Okay. Well, that seems more intense. These were just like two guys. I don't think maybe they had like some Dogecoin buried down there. But that was my only interaction with anybody.
So where did the libertarian strain of thought with regard to fiscal and monetary matters come from?
Well, I think going back to something like studying the law, if you had been studying the law all day, probably you'd want to go home and read an Archie comic and just, turn your brain off. Well, I think if you're making like silly jokes on YouTube at night, you just maybe like
the Federalist Papers.
Yeah, you go down some rabbit hole or something like that, and it was kind of like that, and I kind of uncovered that, and to me that stuff seems like a big deal. It's not what gets talked about on the news.
Yeah, it is. Right? You talk about nothing else, right?
Oh,
okay.
What do you mean?
We're certainly here, but like more main, like the CNNs and the
mainstream.
Yeah, on the television with the big bold letters and the scrolling text.
CNN.
Yes.
Now, did you know, ladies and gentlemen, Evan and Henry and Olatom, that Remy got a question posed a question on CNN for the presidential phone-in your question contest, and you got to perform that question.
Yes.
And they condescendingly liked it.
Yes, that was as accurate a description as I've heard of that. That's true. That's exactly what happened. It was at the first ever YouTube presidential debate, and that was a question about. Was this before or after you did your send up of CNN? And why don't they actually report some news? It was before, and then the second question, I feel like that's a deep question. I feel like I don't even know where to assign the blame. Maybe we're all in part to blame, because it's just why are we even watching anymore? But it's gotten a little ridiculous.
So what has?
Well, just the what is deemed the top story.
Oh, right.
And there's and that's one of the things that when it came to doing videos about the Federal Reserve and monetary policy, I think these are really big issues, and it's not like it hasn't been problematic in the past. It's not like people are forgotten.
Well, it is. It has never been, it seems to me, maybe Evan, you disagree with it, it has never, to my mind, been so problematic for the following reasons. We have the lowest interest rates in 4,000 years. Remy, you have by your bedside, I suppose, as to many people on this podcast, a book called The History of Interest Rates.
A couple copies, yeah. In case
you lose one.
Yeah.
In case you fall asleep on one and you crush it.
Yeah. And sometimes if the bed itself is wobbling, I'll have an extra one, just wedge it under the leg.
The lowest interest rates in 4,000 years. The most muscular QE ever. Mm-hmm. And the most Batinsky kind of monetary meddling, right? These are the handsiest people in finance, the Fed. They can't not do something, right? They have to improve and intervene and interject and comment.
You know, the funny thing is, like 20 years ago, I think if you just asked the average person working in a mutual fund or a hedge fund, what is the Fed funds rate? They couldn't tell you. Now, the Fed is so intertwined in so many things that, I mean, Bitcoin was created in part as a protest against central banks printing money. I mean, I think it's become much more mainstream in terms of knowledge of what the central banks are doing and kind of concern about it.
Yeah, nobody, I mean, if you ask a question years ago, who's the Fed chairman? They say, huh? What do you mean chairman of what? Fed, like, am I hungry? What are you talking about? And now Fed is like, it's like imagine you go to a baseball game, right? And the umpires get introduced first. And here is Horace Jones behind home plate. Now, Horace has a very interesting life story. Just bear with me, because I think that in the half an hour we have for these introductions, I think you'll learn a lot more about Horace than you have known previously. Right?
Yeah.
And we go to third base, the umpire, and the guy down the left field line has got a vocation. This is what he does because he loves it. The money's good, but it is his life.
And speaking of people who are known by just one name, I mean, most people know Jerome Powell as Jay.
Jay, yeah.
Jay Powell.
Yeah.
Jay Powell. I've heard Jay Powell.
Anyway, so yeah. So around here, the obscure is the mainstream, and vice versa.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's going to get to the point where you're going to go speak at high schools, and you're going to have to explain what interest rates were,
Weren't they great?
Yeah. Oh, those were the days. You'd crank your car up with a little thing at the front, and then.
Okay, we have in the 3 hours remaining, we have to get down to some of these fabulous. I was listening again this morning, and where to begin? I so love the TSA video.
Oh, yeah.
And, well, I guess the TSA, in your mind, Remy, is perhaps even handsier than the Fed, right?
I mean, it's certainly in a very literal sense, yes. And it's, very palpable.
Well, the video has got a play on this. I mean, the music is interspersed with a TSA person groping someone's thigh. And I expect, right, because you do all these things yourself, you're everything in the movie, in these videos, that you're groping your own thigh, which is itself kind of a backstory.
It was an awkward process, I'm not going to lie. But, anything for the
arts.
art.
Yeah. So that was good. When I'm not here, I am with my wife Patricia in a place called Schoharie, New York, which is a farming community, and between Albany and Cooperstown. That's where we spend every other week. Since these difficult times began in 2020, we've taken the opportunity to go up there every other week.
How many people? What
none,
size?
Nobody lives there.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Very few is the population of Schoharie, New York, and very few were because in the day, this is many years ago, the New York State Department of Agriculture introduced or implemented or commanded some regulations. You had a dairy farm with a milking parlor, the incandescent bulbs had to be no farther apart than 4 feet. If you were 5 feet, you had to rewire the milking parlor. And the outside had to be done, and the floor had to be concrete, not crushed stone, but concrete, and so forth. So these rules led to the closing of the farm that I own now, closing the dairy operation, and of many farms along the same highway, State Route 443, 443, and which got me thinking about your video, White Lightning.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about White Lightning.
So I had this idea to do like a moonshining song, to like that
as
George
one
Jones
does.
song. Yeah, but about the raw milk thing, and over the years they've had raids. I mean, there've even been like federal raids of these farmers selling raw milk. But I mean, you talk to literally anybody that lives in an agricultural area, or anybody grew up in a time where there are more dairy farms kind of closer in towards the urban areas. Everybody was drinking raw milk, and it was accessible, and it's not like raw food is like this foreign concept. I mean, there's raw meats and fish and everything on the shelf, except
right?
for
You can buy
bait, live crawlers. It just seems so cruel to see some of those things, and I think we just got some bigger problems.
Yeah, but the great thing about this video, one of the great things about it was that one came to know Remy's aversion, actually a sense of disgust towards skim milk and 2%.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Yeah, just you go for it. Like skim milk. I mean, I don't want to take up like the whole hour
No,
on
let's.
this, but
I want to hear the whole thing.
It probably shouldn't exist. I don't think. I mean, even just seeing it it's just visually, not even consuming it. It's like this grayish cylinder
correct.
that it doesn't have to happen.
Now, one can also conjecture, I think, from your videos, Remy, a certain number of other food things that you have, aversions or loves. And
That's
you have to
probably
tell-
true.
Yeah. Falafel,
Oh, falafel on complete and other end of the spectrum. Falafel is delicious.
the best, right?
Yeah, it's the anti-skim milk.
Okay.
Which is so good.
Uh,
And hummus.
hummus.
Yeah.
Ah,
Hummus. Amazing.
really?
Amazing.
But
Oh.
I saw you put that on some pre-sweetened cereal, didn't I? In our video.
Yes, I did that. I wouldn't suggest that. I mean,
That's for the
milk
true
is
hummus
fine.
lover, I suppose.
Milk is fine. I suppose it would be better than skim, but
What do you think about the non-chickpea, like chocolate flavored hummus you find at Whole Foods?
oh man, not a fan. A lot of times the store-bought hummus is it's even before they do the chocolate and everything like that. You definitely need the right amount of tahini in there.
Okay,
That's the power.
I think that somehow with hummus and the like, we have wandered slightly from our topic today, which is interest rates.
Oh yeah, that would be fair to say.
Anyway, there's this fabulous video. I keep on repeating myself. They're all fabulous. Yeah, that's right. Each and every one
That's
is
too
terrific.
generous.
And it contains a line. It's a report. It begins with a news report. And you have your best white person announcer voice, right? Don't deny it. Yeah, this is a racially charged time, but you must not deny this. All right. So, and the TV announcer is saying, but first we will document everything you can die from. But then you get into the interest rate news and talk about how the CDs don't yield nothing, and it's like driving in Maryland and nobody yielding.
Yeah.
Well, and your 401k has turned into a 401k9. Was this part of the dog money?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's interest rates connected with the cryptos, connected with the money printing, connected with the Fed, right?
Yeah, just chasing yield. So many people. It seems like that's they're taking on maybe levels of risk that they wouldn't be otherwise. Right now.
Yeah, well, that's a famous line from Walter Bagehot, who was a Victorian commentator, I guess, on Man of Letters and kind of monetary theorist in a way. And he said that, alluding to the national symbol of Great Britain, he said, John Bull can stand anything, but he can't stand 2%, 2% being a low rate of interest. And when 2% is the interest rate flavor of the cycle, people will, buy Ecuadorian long-dated railroad debentures yielding 6% and lose all their money because they are reaching for yield because they feel they must have the income and they're not going to settle for no income. So that has been an observed phenomenon of finance from long ago to the present day, and now we don't have 2%. We got like
1.3 or something. And we also have an NFT of a Doge meme, the dog, selling for over 225 million.
Wait, that's okay. Let's unpack that, shall we? It's selling for that, or is that the asked price?
I think that's where the auction was like a day or two ago.
But that was
Was it a price paid?
I don't think it was price
bid.
tag yet.
Okay. I think top this, and maybe you have something to contribute along these lines as well. I mean, my speaking fees for out-of-town gigs involving dangerous plane travel, masking, groping by the TSA. My speaking fee is what's the Dogecoin ask price? 223 million.
225 million or something like this.
$500 million. My speaking fees. Yeah, for one speech. How about yours? What's your?
I like that. Well, I don't price it in Doge.
No, listen. Yeah, I was pricing mine in fiat. Okay. Now, when you send up someone, when you there's a Billy Joel thing you did, and there's of course the aforementioned CNN. Do you hear from your satirical subjects?
I wish. I think that would be really cool.
We're the same
never
way.
happened.
We're the same way here. I keep on waiting for a call from J-Pow. Nothing. It's
like an email or something.
It's like we don't exist. What is this?
A tweet, a like. It's so easy these days. No, that would be really cool though, especially if it was Billy Joel. But no, it's never happened, unfortunately.
Not Ted Cruz. You did a fine piece on Ted Cruz going down to Mexico
No, yeah.
during the ice storm. No, nothing.
Nothing, sadly. No
You're just
awkward
like his dog,
encounter-
left home alone.
Yeah. No awkward encounters at the mall. Nothing.
So what's next? I mean, we have explored a little bit, all too superficially, I think, the first 41 years of Remy Munasifi. What about the next 102 years?
I mean, it seems like there's so many different manias currently, just outbreaks of different manias. Maybe try to ride a wave from something.
Name one. What catches your fancy?
With the crypto and with the NFTs. I still don't 100% understand what an NFT is.
That's not necessary.
Yeah, I guess that's even the point.
It's basically bragging rights on the blockchain.
Oh, a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Okay.
Because you don't really own the object, you own a picture of the object. And the funny thing is, so your ownership is logged on a blockchain, and the blockchain, so long as somebody maintains it, will stay around. But that blockchain doesn't always contain your picture. It sometimes points off to another server, and they've actually been instances of that other server just, like links break, so they don't always put the picture up there. So now you have the ownership claim to a picture that no longer exists. So it's basically a way of saying, look, here, I paid a really heavy price for something. This is, me. It's like a Veblen good or peacocking. Okay.
So could people could just copy and paste the image of what somebody else owns and claim?
Yeah. So like one of the hottest NFTs is somebody took like 100 JPEGs of these rocks, and these JPEGs aren't really high quality. It looks like something that came off like a late 1980s Amiga computer. Like it's very, very low resolution. They're all selling for millions of bucks.
Oh, Lord, take me now.
Is that the ask price, Evan?
I think they're called Eth-Rocks. No, these have actually sold. Did Steph Curry buy one? I know Steph Curry he bought one of the... He bought another cartoon character that was really low res.
All right.
This is a world I do not understand.
I am having a brainwave. And, Remy, I think you're going to leave this little podcast cell a much wealthier man than even where you were when you entered.
Yeah.
The NFT, with me, Evan, I want you to pay attention now. The NFT of Remy's merely fabulous worst audition ever for America's Got Talent. What would you pay for that?
Oh, at least like 4 or 5 Eth-Rocks.
Right? See?
That's a lot of Eth-Rocks.
Henry, what are you good for? $500,000, right? Yeah. Okay. All right. So Paul Isaac, who is the close friend of ours at Grants and one of Remy's top fans in this particular zip code, wanted me to ask you, Remy, about your co-stars in these productions. There's so many people who look exactly like you in these videos. You must have, first of all, you have an immense family to have and cousins to, but if it were all you, are you also like the director and the CGI specialist and the sound guy and the script writer, and is it all you?
So I from the writing, yeah, I'll write the scripts, but a lot of the videos that we've talked about, the dog money and the raise the debt ceiling and the Bitcoin billionaire, I've done with 2 friends of mine over at Reason, Meredith Bragg and Austin Bragg, the Bragg brothers, and they are just incredibly talented. And we have so much fun kind of working on some of these like visual ideas to have like this blinged out Dogecoin world and
but the America's Got Talent thing to me was so charming because first of all was the reaction of the judges, was that just
I just cut in from other episodes.
Anyway, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you got to watch that one.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. All right. So what else we got here, Evan? I mean, this is I hate to end this because it shouldn't be ended, but I guess there's nothing for it.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna go mint myself into some NFTs here,
and come back again and again, and I keep on. So the Reason magazine should get and now will get a shout out for the videos it produces. I mean, you go on and if you want a quick and fairly comprehensive point-to-point debate about Bitcoin, for example, there's a great kind of rap battle between Alexander Hamilton, and who is the Abner Doubleday of Bitcoin, who supposedly is
Satoshi Nakamoto.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a series of videos, many of which feature Remy on financial and fiscal and monetary topics, and they are all terrific. And it astounds me, Remy, given how funny they are and how faithful are the messages to classical economic doctrine. It's amazing how little impact they seem to have made on the intellectual climate. I mean, I could understand why a couple of guys in this room typing 7,000 words every 2 weeks and producing, if you please, on paper, are not having the mass impact that we ought to have had. I mean, yeah, fine, it's disappointing, but I guess we are not meant to move mountains of public opinion doing what we do. But YouTube rap videos ought to be having a bigger. What is it? What is it about this uncomprehending age doesn't rally around the message of these videos? Can you speak for your generation?
Well, I think there's some metrics by which if I go to like some youth conference or something like that, it can be pretty encouraging. Other times it does seem like I don't think it's we don't live in a time where something like Uncle Tom's Cabin is going to come around and most of the country is going to read this book, and it's going to. I think that's just I can't see
that audience ended with Life magazine, I'm afraid.
Yeah, so I don't think there's going to be a book that's going to come around and everybody's going to read this thing and give something a chance. So I think it's going to be a little bit trickier. But I mean, there's some things I find encouraging. Other things like the NFT thing just make me want to dig a hole and lay down in it.
Well, don't do that. Come back and see us again on behalf of Grant's Interest Rate Observer and Evan and me, Jim, and Henry and Ola Todd.
It's an absolute honor to be here. So thank you so much.
It is.
I've been looking forward to it.
It is for us. It is just fantastic. I keep on using that word, which is a posit, I think. Yeah. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening, and see you around the interest rates.
Holes in this house, there's some holes in this house, there's some holes in this house, there's some holes in this house.
I said certified free, 7 days a week. Fed ass printing, make that currency weak. You want a wall in your backyard, extra large and extra hard, but you ain't got the cash to pay? Just use that press like a credit card. Grow that debt, print that cash like a tax that never pass. You want wars that never end? Man, this beats funding them like that. You want a bridge, you want a bomb, you want a check, send it to Tom. We gonna park this Big Mac truck right in your fiscal garage. Let's be frank, check is blank from our secret central bank. I don't cut, I don't think, but let me tell you how I got this tank.